What's happening, Toga Peeps? Oldmantup coming at you today, and we are bringing back Thoughtful Thursday to the channel. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, as I don't know that it was ever on this channel, but a previous one, what I do is on Thursdays, I talk about something that's been on my mind that I think needs discussed because, I don't know, this is pretty much the closest thing to a vlog that I do generally. So we're going to talk about something a little bit serious today, riding on the coattails of the tragedies that happened in Orlando this week. And pretty much what I want to talk about is overall a general respect for human life, which seems to be slipping further and further away from our species for some reason. And what some of the things that bother me is that these terrible things happen, and we get it in our mindset that we have to be mad about something because this happened, and we need to know why. And the first point that I would like to make about when something terrible like this happens, people want to know why. There has to be a reason. What's the rationality behind it? Why did this happen? And I look at it and I think about these things, and I think it was Ayn Rand who had said, I'm going to quote this terribly and I know it's wrong, but more or less is you can't apply reason and expect reason to dictate the actions of something that does not submit itself to reason. And that's kind of my take on finding the rationality behind these things that happen. And you turn on the news and it's just sickening because all they do is ask questions and point fingers. And that's not what we should be doing in a time like this. We shouldn't be pointing fingers and saying, oh my gosh, it's the Muslims, it's their fault, it's radical Islam, it's their fault, it's the NRA, it's their fault, it's Donald Trump, he's upsetting all the foreign people, it's his fault. No. What we need to be doing in a time like this is not pointing our fingers, but instead of getting mad and angry, we need to understand about the rationality behind this, and there is none. Why does some guy walk into a nightclub with a high-capacity rifle and just mow down 50-plus people? There's no good reason for that. You can't apply reason to that because at any point in your brain, when you think that you should specifically go out and murder someone, your reason and rationality goes out the window, because there's no rational reason for anyone to kill someone intentionally. When you take it upon yourself to harm someone to the point of death, the rationality part of your brain shuts off and there becomes a disconnect. And when that disconnect happens, no matter what the reason they feel justifies their actions, the reason disappears. So, I did this because the way they choose to live their lives is contradictory to my religious beliefs, so they must die. Irrational. If you go out and kill every single person that lives contradictory to how your religion believes, there will be no one left but the people who believe what you believe. And then eventually you're just going to be killing the people within your religion because they fail to do something you believe adheres to your religious belief. I don't want to make this about religion, but that is the hot topic in the media, and that's crap because it shouldn't be. The hot topic in the media should be some a-hole bought a rifle, a high-capacity rifle, was dumb and walked into a nightclub and murdered 50-plus innocent people, and I think injured that many more. And that's just absurd and ridiculous, and we should stop asking what drove this guy to do it and realize that this guy's just a wackadoo. There's no reason, no logic behind it, and we have to just say, hey, we gotta love these people, and we got to help these people that are affected by this tragedy and stop Oh, my brain just clicked. The rationality just went. But we need to stop perpetuating this cycle of hatred and anger, and what we need to do is stomp that out, because all we're doing is perpetuating the thing that this guy did. He hated some people, so he went out and killed them. Well, now we're pointing fingers and hating other people. That's not what we need to do. We need to stop the cycle of hatred and reach out with some compassion and love these people that were affected by this. Whether we agree with their way of life or not, they're human beings. They need that. It doesn't matter if they're Jew, Christian, Muslim, gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, whatever. We're human beings. All of us. We need to stop labeling each other to single us out so we can discriminate against people or talk down to people or make ourselves feel better because we're not this group of people, or look at those group of people, they're doing bad things. No, that's creating a cycle of negativity, which is dividing us instead of uniting us. What we need to do is take all those differences, throw them in a trash can, and get back to what unites us all, and that's the fact that we're human beings, and we need to start treating each other with some decency and respect and learn to accept one another. And here's my second point that I would like to make, and this will probably be my final point because I'm going to be talking about this for a while. When I was younger, I know it's hard to believe that I was young at one point, right? Oldmantup? Yeah. When I was in high school, when I was in grade school, we were taught to be tolerant of people. And why do we be tolerant of people? Now I'm going to start off here with what my definition, this is not official, this is not a Merriam-Webster or anything else, of tolerance is. Now, tolerance means you're tolerating something. And what does it mean to tolerate something? That means to put up with. That means to deal with. And to me, that means I don't like what you do, and I don't like how you think, I don't like what you believe, I don't like your sexual orientation, I don't like this, that, your hair color, your piercings, your tattoos, things that generally separate people immediately. I don't like your political affiliation, etc., etc. But because I have to, I'm going to put up with you for as long as I have to, and then I'm going to be done with it. That is tolerance. I'm tolerating it as long as I can. Tolerating means putting up with something that is uncomfortable for you. Now, that is crap, because that teaches us to perpetuate the differences in each other and to, hey, tolerate these people. Well, there we go, these people. What do we tolerate? We're tolerating them, we're tolerating him, we're tolerating her. We're putting a barrier between us immediately by building this tolerance policy. What we need to do is have a policy of acceptance. And here's my policy of acceptance. Definition. Oldmantup's definition of what acceptance for human beings should be. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. Acceptance for human beings. I don't agree with your opinions. I don't agree with the way you live your life. I don't agree with your religious beliefs. I don't agree with your philosophical beliefs. I don't agree with your hair color. I don't agree with the way you smell. I don't agree with how many tattoos you have. I don't agree with how many piercings you have. I don't agree with how many piercings you don't have. I don't, etc., etc. I don't agree with you in general, but I'm going to look beyond that because you're a human being. You aren't the sum of the things. You aren't the tattoo. You aren't the piercing. You aren't just your sexual orientation. You aren't just your religious philosophy or your philosophy. You aren't just your opinion. You're a human being. And because you're a human being, I'm going to accept you no matter what you believe, no matter what you do, no matter how dumb I think what you say is, no matter what comes out of your mouth, no matter how lazy you are, no matter how fantastic you are, no matter whether you're Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver of all time, whether you're the greatest Pokemon battler of all time, whether you're the greatest or worst COD player of all time, whether or not you play Overwatch, whether or not you upload videos with a microphone that doesn't crackle like crazy all the time. I mean, these are just common complaints on the internet. I don't care if you're African American, I don't care if you're African, I don't care if you're from Bangladesh, I don't care if you're from India, I don't care if you're from England. Ooh, English people, just kidding. I have too many English friends not to make that joke. I don't care if you're from Germany, I don't care if you're from America, I don't care if you're from Mexico, I don't care if you're from Canada, I don't care if you're from Peru, Brazil, Siam, Australia, g'day mate. I don't care, because you're a human being. I accept all of those things about you and love you as a human being. And that's what we need to do. We need to stop this tolerance, putting up with these differences in people, and look past the differences and see what unites us. Doesn't that what they say at the end of the first Pokemon movie? Doesn't matter the circumstances of our birth, we're all the same, blah blah blah, yada yada crap, clone Meowth thing says. But that's what we need to do. And every time these things happen, all you're going to see on social media is a bunch of people pointing their fingers, getting upset, saying, these people are to blame. These people are to blame. Well, if there weren't guns in America, this wouldn't have happened. Well, if he wasn't a radical Islam, that wouldn't have happened. No. We need to get past that. Say, hey, this really crappy thing happened. We need to help the people that were affected by it and move on. Not, well, we need to launch an investigation into his family, and his wife's now in jail because she might have known that something was going to happen and she could be charged with XYZ. We need to say, hey, really crappy thing happened. We need to figure out how to help the people that were affected by it the most and move on and be better because of this tragedy. Not be worse, not be angry, not be upset. And I'm not saying you can't be angry and upset because a tragedy happens, because that's just a natural reaction. Something bad happens, you get aggressive because you want to combat this bad thing that's happening. But when we do that, we combat it with the wrong emotions. We combat it with negativity. We don't combat it with positivity. Two negatives do not make a positive, unless we're talking about math. Then we're not. We're talking about life. You don't have bad thing, throw them together and make it a good thing. You have to have bad thing, and the good thing squash out the bad thing. You cannot defeat evil with evil, whether you believe in evil or not, whether you believe in bad or not. I mean, every pretty much religion or philosophy in the world has this belief that there is a right and a wrong, a good and an evil, a bad and a good. Yeah, I messed that one up. Conflict between good and evil to some extent. And when the balance gets out of hand and these evil things keep stacking up and this bad keeps happening and we just throw more bad on top of it, where does the good go? All the way out of the picture, and nobody sees the good anymore. And that's what's happening. What we need to do is say, oh, that was a really bad thing. What are some good things we can do to tip that balance back in our favor of being a good race again, of being good human beings again? And those are my thoughts for today. If you agree, let me know down below. If you disagree with something I say, let me know down below. No matter what you say, I will accept you, I will accept your opinions, and I will love you all. Because that's what decent human beings do to one another. No matter what their differences are, what their differences are, no matter how their opinions may differ, no matter how their beliefs may differ, no matter how their religious philosophies may differ. You should be able to come together, discuss your differences, and feel better for it at the end of the day. Right after this tragedy happened, me and a good friend of mine named Frank had a talk on Twitter. And we were on opposite sides of the fence of the issue we were discussing. And you know what? Did we let it ruin our friendship? Did we call each other nasty names? Did I tell him he was wrong? Did he tell me I was wrong? No. We each presented well thought out sides of our arguments. We each made good points, and I think we each had a better understanding of one another and the issue at hand by the end of that conversation. And the crazy thing is, we made it all the way to the end of that conversation, and we're still friends. Because that's what decent human beings have the capacity to do. Be different and still be the same. Sorry guys, this has been Oldmantup. I hope I haven't bored you with this rant. If you'd like to see more of these thoughtful Thursday episodes in the future, be sure and hit that like button. I do appreciate that. But anyways guys, this has been Oldmantup. Thank you for sticking with me for this rant. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.